At my wedding, my mom smiled and said, "You don't mind if your sister takes the car, right?" Tessa giggled. "It suits me better anyway." I pulled out an envelope and the crowd went silent. This isn't just a story about a car. It's about the day my perfect wedding was hijacked, and I finally decided to reclaim my life, even if it meant blowing up my family in the process. Imagine standing there in your wedding dress, string lights twinkling overhead, everything feeling absolutely perfect, when your own mother tries to steal your most precious gift and then blames you for making a scene. The reception was beautiful. The weather was divine. The flowers were stunning, and my new husband, Ethan, looked so happy talking with his college friends. For the first time in what felt like forever, I genuinely thought I'd finally done something right. Then my mom approached. You know that smile? The one that doesn't quite reach her eyes? The one that always precedes something incredibly unpleasant, meticulously disguised as love? Yeah, that one. "Valerie, darling, you look beautiful," she cooed, smoothing invisible wrinkles from my sleeve. "I need to tell you about our little plan." Plan? My stomach clenched immediately. On my wedding day, the only plans should have been the ones Ethan and I made. "We've decided to give the car to Tessa," Mom said, so casually, like she was commenting on the weather. My brain literally stuttered. "What car?" "The Subaru, of course." She gestured across the yard where Ethan's parents, James and Barbara, stood near a sleek, silver Outback, a big red ribbon still tied to the door. That was our wedding gift. The $22,000 gift they'd presented to us just hours earlier. Tessa needs it more than newlyweds with 2 incomes. I glanced past Mom's shoulder, and there she was, my sister, Tessa, about 20 feet away, shimmering in a silver gown that probably cost more than my first month's rent. She caught my eye, gave a little finger wave, and then, jingle, jingle, she jingled what were unmistakably car keys. 120 guests laughed and danced around us, completely oblivious. "I don't understand," I said, even though, deep down, I understood perfectly. This was just another Tuesday in the Anderson family, only it was my wedding day. "Honey," Mom patted my arm, "Tessa's still building her career. You and Ethan are established. It's just a car. Don't make this a thing." The warning in her voice was crystal clear. Across the reception, Ethan noticed my face. He excused himself from his conversation and started walking toward me, his brow furrowed with concern. My stomach constricted painfully. It was that old, familiar ache, the hollow feeling of being overlooked, of always being expected to sacrifice. I remembered being 12, Mom telling me to give my bigger bedroom to Tessa. "You're older, you understand," she'd said. And I did understand, even then. I understood that Tessa's wants would always come before my needs. At 18, I worked 2 part-time jobs to buy a used Toyota with 120,000 miles. Meanwhile, my parents praised Tessa's academic achievements, never mentioning that her free time for studying came at the cost of my exhaustion. Ethan had witnessed this pattern throughout our 7-year relationship. The holidays where Tessa got the newest iPhone while I got bath soaps. The Sunday dinners where Mom served Tessa's favorite meals. The family vacations planned around Tessa's schedule. And now this. My wedding day. Ethan reached me, his hand gentle on my elbow. "Everything okay?" he asked, but his eyes already knew the answer. Mom, meanwhile, had turned to a nearby group of guests. "Tessa needs reliable transportation," she explained to my former college roommate, Madison, who looked utterly bewildered. They have 2 incomes, after all. My sister's smug smile burned like acid on my skin. "It's just a car, honey," Mom repeated, waving her hand dismissively. My hands began to tremble, but when I spoke, my voice came out steadier than I expected. "Excuse me a moment." I opened my wedding clutch, a small, beaded thing that barely held my lipstick and a tissue. Mom watched, confusion clouding her features as I pulled out a sealed envelope. "You're giving away our wedding gift, Mom?" The question cut through the ambient chatter. Several heads turned. Ethan stood firmly beside me, his presence solid and reassuring. For the first time, I felt the strength of our partnership as more than just romantic love. This was an alliance. "Valerie, this isn't the time or place," Mom hissed, her smile straining. "When would be better?" I shot back. After Tessa drives away in our car, I held the envelope between us. Did you even ask Ethan's parents if you could redistribute their gift? Across the yard, James and Barbara Thompson looked over, clearly confused by the gathering tension. Mom's face flushed. This is a family matter. Yes, it is, I agreed. And Ethan is my family now. My father approached, concern etched in his features. He opened his mouth, but remained silent, as he had my entire life when Mom made these decisions. I opened the envelope and removed a single sheet of paper. This is a notarized document stating that wedding gifts cannot be transferred without my consent. My voice didn't waver. Ethan and I had it prepared last week. You what? Tessa shrieked, car keys clutched in her fist. The reception fell silent. Tension spread like wildfire. Mom stared at me like she'd never seen me before. Maybe she hadn't. I stood rooted, the notarized document trembling slightly between my fingers. Mom's face had transformed from confident authority to stunned disbelief. The reception grew unnaturally quiet. There's more, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. I reached into my clutch again and pulled out my phone. Tessa didn't just show up today expecting our car. Tessa took a step backward, her silver dress catching the string lights. Val, come on. I unlocked my phone and turned the screen toward Mom. She snuck into our garage last night. The photo showed Tessa posing beside the ribbon-adorned Subaru, one hand on the hood, the other holding up a peace sign. The caption? Finally got a ride that fits me. Dad stepped forward, hands raised placatingly. She was just excited about the possibility, Valerie. Don't blow this out of proportion. The possibility? Ethan's voice rose beside me. The possibility of taking our wedding gift without asking? I swiped to another screen, a text exchange between Mom and Tessa from 3 weeks ago. Mom's message, we'll handle it at the reception. Easier to present as decided than to ask permission. Ethan's parents pushed through the small crowd that had gathered. Barbara's face was flushed, her earrings shaking as she shook her head. James walked with purpose, his suit jacket unbuttoned, brow furrowed. Catherine, Barbara said, is this true? You told us this car was for Valerie and Ethan. Mom's smile returned, thin and strained. Barbara, James, we're just making adjustments based on need. Surely you understand that families share resources? Share. I repeated, the word tasting bitter. You didn't ask us to share. You announced you were taking. Tessa stepped forward now, her face arranging itself into that wounded expression she'd perfected since childhood. Why are you making such a scene, Val? It's just a stupid car. If it's just a stupid car, Ethan said, his voice level, then why do you need it so badly? The whispered conflict had become a spectacle. Guests on the dance floor stopped moving. The band's saxophone player held his instrument mid-note. Mom leaned in close, her perfume, the same scent she'd worn since I was a child, suddenly cloying. You're causing a scene over nothing. Think of the family shame. Family shame, I repeated. The words unlocked something in me. My therapist's voice echoed in my head. Patterns continue until decisively broken. For years, I'd nodded along to that truth while doing nothing about it. But standing here in white lace, I suddenly saw with perfect clarity what my future held if I backed down again. This isn't about a car, I declared. It's about respect. It's about the life Ethan and I are building together. I remembered our pre-wedding conversation, sitting on our living room floor, surrounded by half-packed moving boxes. We need boundaries, Ethan had said, holding my hand. Your family will keep taking until there's nothing left. I'd agreed then. Why was it so hard now? Because it's easier to surrender than to stand firm. Because I'd built my entire identity around being the responsible one, the peacemaker, the daughter who understands. Tessa took advantage of my momentary silence. Mom's right, you're embarrassing yourself. We're not running a charity, Tessa, Ethan said. His tone wasn't unkind, just matter of fact. James stepped forward and took the notarized document from my hand. He read it carefully, glasses perched on the end of his nose. This appears legally binding to me, he said, handing it back. From the corner of my eye, I spotted Madison discreetly holding up her phone, recording Mom's reaction. Our wedding planner moved among the guests, gently redirecting their attention toward the dessert table. Barbara placed a steady hand on my shoulder. The weight of it surprised me, not heavy, but grounding. "Valerie, dear," she said, "what would you like to happen now?" Mom's eyes narrowed. She would like to stop embarrassing us and behave like family. "No, Mom." The words came easily now. "I'm ending the tradition. The tradition where Tessa gets whatever she wants, and I'm expected to smile about it." I pulled a second envelope from my clutch, smaller, unmarked. "This is a notice documenting unauthorized access to our property. Tessa entered our garage without permission to take photos with a car that doesn't belong to her." Dad stepped between us. "This is a wedding, not a courtroom," he pleaded, his voice cracking slightly. "Exactly," I replied. "So maybe we stop treating theft like love." The words hung in the air, true and painful and necessary. Mom's mouth opened and closed. For once, she had no ready response. I felt a hollow victory. My eyes burned with unshed tears, not from sadness, but from the sheer exhaustion of 31 years of this pattern, finally breaking. Ethan's arm encircled my waist. He turned toward the band, who still waited in suspended animation. "Play something," he said. The saxophone player nodded, and a gentle melody filled the awkward silence. Ethan guided me away from my family, toward the dance floor. "You okay?" he whispered. "I'm not," I confessed, "but I will be." "That car looks better on us anyway," I said, and the smile that broke across his face was worth every uncomfortable moment. Behind us, I heard Tessa's voice rising again, but it sounded different now, distant, less powerful. Mom's hushed tones no longer carried the authority they once did. They were just voices now, not commandments. As Ethan and I moved slowly across the dance floor, wedding guests gradually returned to their conversations. The moment passed, but something fundamental had shifted. I caught Barbara's eye across the reception. She raised her champagne glass slightly, a silent toast. James stood beside her, nodding once, firmly. For the first time in my life, I'd chosen my own path instead of the one laid out for me. The weight of expectation lifted slightly from my shoulders, and I stood taller in Ethan's arms as we reclaimed our wedding day, one dance step at a time. 2 days later, I woke up to the ping of my phone. Not the gentle, "good morning" text from Ethan I'd grown accustomed to, but a barrage of notifications. My stomach tightened. Tessa's Facebook post glared up at me. "Some people love cars more than family. Praying for those who measure love in dollars instead of memories." The comments poured in beneath it, supportive friends, distant relatives, and, of course, Mom, praying for those who forget where they came from. Family should always come first. Ethan stirred beside me. "What is it?" I turned the phone toward him. His jaw tightened as he scanned the screen. "They're trying to rewrite history," I said, scrolling through more notifications. A family group text had erupted overnight, cousins and aunts expressing concern about my behavior at the wedding. "Aunt Deborah, Valerie, we're all worried about you. This isn't like you. Uncle Robert, wedding memories should be treasured, not ruined with petty arguments." Ethan took the phone, setting it face down. "Let them talk. We know what happened." My phone buzzed again. Madison had sent a link to a GoFundMe page. The title made my blood boil. "Left Carless by Betrayal. Help a sister start fresh." The description was worse. My sister and her husband decided on their wedding day that they needed a second car more than I needed my first. "Help me overcome this family betrayal and get back on my feet." "She's raised almost $400 already," I whispered. Ethan's laugh surprised me. "People are paying to be part of the drama." I refreshed the page. A new donation appeared, $15 from someone named Reality, with the comment, "Maybe get a job instead of a handout?" A startled laugh escaped me. The sound was foreign to my ears, almost rusty. When was the last time I'd laughed about anything involving Tessa or Mom? "We should just ignore all this," Ethan said, pulling me closer. "It's exactly what they want, to drag us into their narrative." My phone rang. It was Linda, our wedding photographer. "Valerie? I wanted to give you a heads up. Your mother called asking me to delete some photos from the reception. Specifically, the ones showing your conversation by the gift table." My hand tightened around the phone. "And?" "I told her those photos belong to you and Ethan." She wasn't happy. "Thank you for letting me know." I'll send everything to your secure cloud folder today, including the raw files. After we hung up, Ethan was already dressed, pulling out his laptop. We need to document everything. Screenshots of all the posts, texts, and GoFundMe. Everything. I nodded, finally understanding. This wasn't just about a car. It was about the story they were trying to tell, one where I was the villain, the ungrateful daughter who turned her back on family. Ethan paused. I think we should change the locks. Just in case. They wouldn't just walk into our house, I said. But even as the words left my mouth, I knew better. Boundaries had never existed in my family. Better safe than sorry, Ethan said, already searching for locksmiths. The doorbell rang 3 hours later. Through the peephole, I saw Mom and Dad standing on our porch, Mom clutching her purse with white knuckles. They're here, I called to Ethan in the kitchen. He appeared beside me, squeezing my shoulder. Ready? I took a deep breath and opened the door. Mom's eyes were red-rimmed, tears threatening to spill. I can't believe my own daughter would humiliate me like this. Dad stepped forward, hands spread in a placating gesture. Your mother hasn't slept since the wedding, Valerie. Neither have I replied, but for different reasons. They followed us into the living room. Mom perched on the edge of the sofa, like she might flee at any moment. Dad stood behind her, hands on her shoulders. After everything we've done for you, Mom said, voice trembling. All the sacrifices, all the support. This is how you repay us. The familiar guilt rose in my throat, but something else rose faster, clarity. What sacrifices, Mom? What support? My voice was calm, steadier than I'd ever heard it. When I needed braces, you said we couldn't afford them, but Tessa got hers the same year. When I worked 2 jobs to pay for college, you co-signed Tessa's student loans. When I saved for 3 years to buy my first car, you gave Tessa money for a down payment on hers. Mom's mouth opened, then closed. When I got into Cornell, but couldn't afford to go, you said sometimes we have to be practical. When Tessa got into UCLA, you took out a second mortgage. When I started my business, you told everyone it was just a hobby. When Tessa decided to try photography for 6 months, you bought her a $2,000 camera. Each example landed like a stone dropping into still water, creating ripples of recognition in the room. I've spent my entire life accepting less so Tessa could have more, but not this time. Not on my wedding day. Not with a gift that wasn't yours to give. Mom's shock was almost comical. She'd never heard me speak this way. I'd never spoken this way. The words felt foreign but right on my tongue. This isn't about a car, I continued. This is about respect. Something I've never asked for but have always deserved. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. Madison had sent another text, stay strong. I've got your back. Simultaneously, Ethan's phone pinged with a message from his parents. Dinner at our place tonight? We want to show our support. Mom's gaze darted between our phones. Who's that? Are you talking about us to strangers? They're not strangers, Ethan said. They're our support system. People who respect boundaries. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Valerie, we just want to resolve this quietly. Family matters should stay in the family. I agree, I said. And Ethan is my family now. This isn't you, Mom whispered. Someone's turned you against us. I stood, suddenly tired of the circular conversation. I need you both to leave now. Mom's eyes widened. We drove all this way. Without calling first, I interrupted. Another boundary crossed. Family doesn't treat family this way, Mom said, her final weapon. I met her gaze steadily. Exactly my point. That's why this needs to change. For the first time in my life, I saw genuine uncertainty in my mother's eyes. The realization that her usual tactics, tears, guilt, family obligation, had lost their power. Dad glanced at Mom, then back at me. I caught something in his expression, a flicker of understanding, maybe even respect. When the door closed behind them, Ethan wrapped his arms around me. You did it. My phone buzzed again. My therapist, emergency session available this week if needed. We need to document everything, I said, moving to the laptop. Every text, every social media post, every phone call. Ethan nodded, already pulling up the wedding video. We'll save it all, just in case. Together, we drafted an email to the entire family, setting clear boundaries for future contact. No unannounced visits. No public shaming. No manipulation through other family members. What if they ignore it? Ethan asked. Then we have decisions to make. I saved the draft, not quite ready to send it. We spent the evening creating contingency plans. If the harassment continues, if they show up at work, if they contact Ethan's family again. For the first time, I felt ahead of the game instead of desperately playing catch-up. The next week, I folded another sweater and tucked it neatly into the suitcase sprawled across our bed. Ethan stood at the closet, pulling down a stack of jeans. "Ready for the great escape?" he asked, a wry smile playing on his lips. "It's not an escape," I corrected him, but there was no bite in my words. "It's a strategic repositioning." The Pacific Coast Highway beckoned, a spontaneous, week-long road trip we'd discussed for months, but never committed to. Now, the timing felt perfect. Not running away, but moving toward something better. "Did you install it?" I asked, nodding toward the garage. "At tracking devices in place," Ethan confirmed, "and the dash cam is recording. If anyone tries anything with the car, we'll have evidence." The contested Subaru, our wedding gift that Mom and Tessa tried to appropriate, had become more than transportation. It was a symbol of our boundaries, our marriage, our united front. I never imagined my first major marital challenge would involve defending our property from my own family. Good, I checked my phone, confirming the scheduled email that would deliver our boundary statement to the entire family tomorrow morning. We'll live well instead of fighting. That's the best revenge. Ethan paused, coming to stand beside me. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "It feels like we're sneaking away." "That's exactly what we're doing," I admitted, touching his arm, "but not because we're afraid. Because their emergency isn't our emergency." While Ethan finished packing, I double-checked our home security system. New cameras covered the front door and driveway. Locks changed 3 days ago. Mail forwarded to a P.O. box. It felt excessive, but Mom's escalating behavior had forced our hand. "Do you think they'll notice we're gone before the email hits?" Ethan asked. I glanced at my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom already today. "They'll notice," I said. "But by then, we'll be watching the sunset from Big Sur." The doorbell rang. My spine stiffened. "Ignore it," Ethan said, zipping the suitcase closed. The doorbell chimed again, followed by insistent knocking. My phone buzzed with a text from my coworker, Lisa. "Your mom and sister are here at the design firm. They're asking for you. Should I tell them you called in sick today?" My throat tightened. "They were at my workplace." "What?" Ethan took the phone, reading the message. "That crosses a line." Another text arrived. "Your mom is crying. Tessa's telling everyone you're destroying the family." I sank onto the bed, the room spinning slightly. "Mom's turning on the waterworks for my coworkers." Ethan's face hardened. "They think they can manipulate you through your job." Lisa sent a final message. "Catherine just told my supervisor that you're having a nervous breakdown, and the family is concerned." Hot anger flooded my veins, burning away the initial shock. She was trying to undermine my professional reputation now. While I called my supervisor to explain the situation, Ethan checked his own phone and swore under his breath. "The GoFundMe," he said, showing me the screen. "It's reached $3,000. Tess has added a new update, claiming we've threatened legal action against her for speaking the truth about family abuse." The doorbell rang a third time. Ethan peeked through the blinds. "It's your dad." My father's voice carried through the door. "Valerie, please. Your mother might need medical attention from all this stress. You need to talk to her." I sent a quick email to HR documenting the workplace visit, attaching security camera screenshots Lisa forwarded showing Mom approaching my colleagues. My voice remained steady when I finally responded to my father. "Dad, if Mom needs medical attention, call 911. "Not me." "But she's your mother," he pleaded. "And I'm your daughter," I replied. "But that doesn't make me responsible for her emotional manipulation." After he left, Ethan's phone pinged with messages from an unknown number. "Your wife is turning you against your family. Is that the kind of woman you want to spend your life with?" Ethan blocked the number without responding. "Ready to hit the road?" I took one last look around our home, wondering what state it would be in when we returned. "Let's go." The Subaru purred to life. As we pulled away, I resisted the urge to look back. Their emergency isn't my emergency, I repeated, as much for myself as for Ethan. 2 days later, at a coastal hotel with windows that framed the Pacific, Lisa sent more updates. Security cameras captured Tessa's entire workplace performance. The footage showed her knocking over a potted plant when my supervisor refused to give her my personal schedule. Your mom tried contacting my parents, Ethan said, hanging up his phone. Dad shut her down immediately, said he wasn't getting involved in manipulation tactics. The boundary email had done its work. 3 cousins had messaged to say they were questioning Catherine's version of events. The GoFundMe had been flagged for investigation after I submitted evidence contradicting Tessa's claims. That evening, my father called again. His voice sounded different, tired, resigned. "Catherine, maybe we went too far," I heard him say in the background before he realized I'd answered. "Valerie," he began. "Your sister is facing some consequences at her job. That scene at your workplace got back to her boss." "That's unfortunate," I said, finding I meant it. Despite everything, I didn't want Tessa to suffer. I just wanted the pattern to stop. "Could you call her? Smooth things over?" he asked. "No, Dad. This isn't my mess to clean up." After we hung up, I posted a photo of Ethan and me watching the sunset from our scenic overlook. No caption, just the image of our happiness. Within minutes, college friends and colleagues commented with heart emojis and supportive messages. Madison texted privately, "Everyone sees what they're doing. We're all Team Valerie." The contrast couldn't be clearer, our peaceful coastal escape versus the chaos they'd created. While they were scrambling to control the narrative, we were watching waves crash against cliffs, taking long walks on empty beaches, and discovering quaint bookstores in seaside towns. That night, an anonymous email arrived. "I've seen this pattern for years. Your mother did the same to her own sister in the 1990s. Stay strong. Some of us recognize what's happening." I showed Ethan, who pulled me close. "We're doing the right thing." In bed that night, listening to distant waves, I realized our marriage had grown stronger through this crisis. We'd faced our first major challenge and held firm together. "I love you," Ethan whispered in the darkness. "I love you too," I replied, feeling the weight of years lifting from my shoulders. My phone chimed with a notification. It was a social media update from Tessa, uncharacteristically brief. "Family is complicated." For the first time, there was no accompanying comment from Mom. The first crack in their unified front had appeared. 7 days later, my phone buzzed with another notification. Mother's voice crackled through the speaker, each sob perfectly timed for maximum effect. "I'm your mother, Valerie. How could you abandon me like this? After everything I've done for you." Her voice broke in exactly the places it always has when she wants something. I set the phone down on the kitchen counter. Ethan glanced up from his coffee, eyebrows raised in silent question. "The usual," I said, sliding my finger across the screen to delete the message. "Apparently, we're tearing the family apart by not answering calls." Ethan's phone lit up next. "Family emergency gathering this Saturday," he read. "Your father sent this to everyone, says we need to come home immediately. A text arrived from my cousin Janet. You should really come. Your mom is beside herself. Whatever happened can be fixed. I've got one from your dad too." I showed Ethan the message that appeared moments later. "Valerie, I think you've misunderstood some things. Come Saturday and we can talk like adults." "There's a video from Tessa," Ethan said, tilting his screen toward me. My sister stared into the camera, her expression solemn. "Val, I just want to say I'm sorry if I hurt you." The rehearsed cadence was unmistakable. Mother's words coming through Tessa's mouth. "Family should forgive each other. That's what Mom always says." I closed my eyes and breathed deeply. The emergency was that their control was slipping. The messages didn't stop. Aunt Linda called, concerned about Mother's state. Uncle Robert emailed about doing the right thing. My cousin Brad texted that blood is thicker than water. Each message carried the same undercurrent: come back. Apologize. Restore the old order. Then Mother escalated. A formal letter arrived. Legal letterhead making it look important. "She's threatening to contest your inheritance from Grandma," Ethan said, scanning the document. "Says you're not of sound mind right now." My phone buzzed with texts from former high school friends. Heard you're going through some stuff. Your mom's worried sick about your mental health. Mother's newest Facebook post appeared in my notifications. Sometimes the people we love change so dramatically, we don't recognize them anymore. Prayers for my eldest daughter during this difficult time. Tessa followed with her own post. When someone's personality changes completely, it's usually a cry for help. Family intervention might be the only answer. The final blow came when my cousin forwarded an invitation to my parents' wedding anniversary party next month. Elegant script. Come celebrate the healing of our family. It would be so easy, I whispered, staring at all the messages spread across our kitchen table. Just go. Smile. Pretend it never happened. Make it all go away. Ethan sat beside me, his hand warm on mine. Would it though? Would it really go away? Later that evening, Ethan looked up from his laptop. Do you think a complete cutoff is necessary? Maybe some limited contact with boundaries. The question caught me off guard. You're the one who said. I know, he interrupted gently. I support whatever you decide. He closed the laptop. These are still your parents. Your sister. I replayed Mother's tearful voice message in my mind. The familiar ache spread through my chest. That childhood feeling of desperate responsibility. What if I'm overreacting? I whispered, voicing the fear that had been haunting me. What if this whole thing is just me being dramatic about a car? Ethan sat beside me on the couch. Let's think this through, not from a place of anger or hurt, but clarity. We spent hours dissecting every manipulation, every guilt trip, every instance where I was expected to give while Tessa took. We mapped the patterns going back to childhood, the way Mother always positioned herself as the victim whenever her control was questioned. It's not about the car, I said finally, the realization settling into my bones. It never was. The next morning, I drafted a letter. Not with rage or vindictiveness, but with a surgeon's precision. To my family, I wrote, after careful consideration, I am establishing these non-negotiable boundaries. The letter laid out clear terms. No unannounced visits. No gifts with strings attached. No social media posts about me without permission. Any violation would result in 6 months of no contact. Before any relationship can resume, family therapy will be required, with a therapist of my choosing. To leave no room for misinterpretation, I attached documentation, a timeline of incidents spanning 20 years, from the bedroom I was forced to surrender at 12 to the wedding day car incident. The wedding video showing Mother's manipulation attempt in full context. Letters from friends who witnessed the pattern over years. Financial records showing I'd supported myself entirely since 19, while Tessa received ongoing assistance. A letter from my therapist, unnamed, explaining the dynamics of family scapegoating. With Ethan beside me at the DMV, we transferred the car registration solely into our names. We're not responding to the emergency summons, I told Ethan, as we prepared to deliver our response. We do this on our terms. The package arrived at my parents' house on Thursday morning, 2 days before their planned emergency gathering. Copies simultaneously landed in the mailboxes of every extended family member who had pressured us to reconcile. Mother called within an hour, her voice shrill with shock. What is this? You can't possibly expect. Those are my terms, I said calmly. I'm not angry. I don't want revenge. I want peace. Tessa posted a mocking screenshot of my boundary letter on Instagram. By evening, she deleted it after multiple family members commented that her post proved my point. Uncle Robert called, his tone subdued. I had no idea things were this bad, Valerie. Aunt Linda texted, we won't be attending the intervention on Saturday. The most surprising call came from my father. I've been reading through your timeline, he said, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. There are things here I didn't see happening under my own roof. A long pause. We should have done better by you, Valerie. 2 days later, Mother left a voicemail, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. I might have been unfair sometimes. I just wanted the best for both my girls. Ethan forwarded me Tessa's latest Facebook rant. Must be nice when Mom stops defending you after 30 years of always taking your side. The family emergency gathering was canceled. The anniversary party invitations were revised without mention of family healing. The threatened legal action regarding my inheritance quietly disappeared. 3 weeks passed without a single contact attempt. The longest silence in my adult life. On a clear Sunday morning, Ethan tossed me the keys to our Subaru. "Where to?" I slipped behind the wheel, adjusting the mirror. The reflection showed a woman who finally recognized herself. "Anywhere, as long as it's forward." We drove along the coast, windows down. The car that once symbolized my family's control now carrying us toward freedom. The irony didn't escape me. In losing a family that demanded my constant surrender, I'd found myself. The road stretched ahead, endless with possibility. 6 months have passed since the wedding. I stand in our garden, fingers deep in soil, planting rosemary beside the thyme. Ethan and I are in our small cottage outside Portland, miles from the chaos we left behind. The graphic design business I launched 3 months ago already has more clients than I can handle. Our rescue dog, Pepper, lounges in a patch of sunlight nearby, her silver muzzle resting on crossed paws. The security system we installed after moving in rarely gets activated these days. Coffee's ready. Ethan calls from the kitchen window. Saturday morning coffee on the porch has become our ritual, along with evening walks with Pepper and Sunday pancakes, where we compete to create the most ridiculous shapes. I brush dirt from my hands and breathe deeply. Our home smells of coffee, freshly turned earth, and peace, not the constant anxiety I grew up with. The mail arrives as I'm washing my hands. Ethan brings it in, sorting through bills and magazines before pausing at a pale blue envelope. "It's from your mother," he says, hesitation in his voice. My chest tightens momentarily, but the feeling passes quickly. Let me see. Inside is a card with flowers on the front. My mother's handwriting fills the interior. "We miss you. Family should forgive." I read it once, smile faintly, then tear it neatly in half. The same dismissive phrase she used at the wedding, but my response couldn't be more different. No rage burns in my stomach, no tears threaten to spill, just quiet certainty. On our mantel sits a framed wedding photo, the moment of confrontation captured perfectly. Mom's shocked face, Ethan standing beside me, the envelope in my trembling hand. A year ago, that picture would have filled me with shame. Now it reminds me of the day I finally stood up. "You okay?" Ethan asks, watching me drop the torn card into the recycling bin. "Better than okay," I answered truthfully. The woman who spent 30 years being the responsible daughter, the perpetual fixer, the family peacekeeper, she's gone. In her place stands someone who recognizes her worth beyond usefulness to others. I found more healing through deliberate living than through any therapy sessions. Boundaries don't break families, they define them. Later that evening, we celebrate what we jokingly call our boundary anniversary, with takeout from our favorite Thai place. Ethan raises his glass in a toast. "To freedom," he says. "To peace," I add. Our new friends, Jamie and Mark, join us for dessert. These friendships, built on mutual respect, feel refreshingly uncomplicated. Without family drama draining my energy, my career has flourished too. The occasional pangs of loss still come birthdays, holidays, but they no longer control me. "You know what I've noticed?" Ethan says as our friends leave. "You stand taller now." Last week, a coworker confided in me about her manipulative sister. I shared my experience without bitterness, recommended resources that helped me, and watched understanding dawn in her eyes. I've started contributing anonymously to an online support group for others breaking generational patterns. It feels like purpose blooming from pain. The next evening, we drove along the Pacific coast in the same car that sparked so much conflict. Now it represents freedom rather than betrayal. I roll down the windows, letting salt air fill my lungs. "I used to think home was where I grew up," I tell Ethan as we watch waves crash against rocks below. "I spent years trying to earn my way back to a place that never truly welcomed me." The holiday season approaches, but for the first time, I feel no dread. The past isn't erased, it's contained. We park at a coastal overlook as sunset transforms the horizon into bands of orange and pink. I hold the car keys in my palm, feeling their weight, the weight of ownership, not just of a vehicle, but of my life. "Family isn't who you're born to," I whisper as Ethan takes my hand. It's who stands beside you when the truth comes out. Beyond us, the vast horizon stretches endlessly, promising tomorrow. Have you ever had to draw a line with family to protect your peace? Valerie discovered that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set boundaries. What would you have done in her shoes? Share your thoughts below.